The only thing tougher than turning losers into champions is doing it twice.
The soul of Detroit.
Back. Oh, no. Their game is as good as ever.
Haven't you guys been training in the off-season? I knew we forgot something.
But they're adding some new players.
Yeah!
But if they want to go for the gold, they'll have to learn to become a team again.
Move together! We came here as a team, and we're leaving here as a team. Right! Bring them on! We're ready!
You asked it around, get your finger out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric. Back with the Soul of Detroit, Marc Fellhauer's here.
Hello.
Shawn Windsor will be zooming in shortly. But we have a very special guest because it is the 10th anniversary of the Clark Park Classic. This is a charity hockey game that Mike Rataj and I started 10 years ago, if you can believe it, that's raised a lot of money for kids in Southwest Detroit. It's raised the profile of Clark Park, and depending on which team you were on, it raised a couple of welts because these games started out very spiritedly. It wasn't like the Mighty Ducks 2, which I never saw. I didn't see Mighty Ducks 1. I was once you've seen Slapshot, you don't really need to see too many other hockey movies. But we're going to get to Mike in just a minute. He's joining us from his law office where he is trying to make sure that the justice system is running as it should. And we are brought to you by Luke Nowacki and Pinnacle Wealth Strategies, who will help you come up with a plan to make sure that your future is bright like that at Clark Park. And Caju Cafe, which is always a great place for a great time on the east side, but anybody's welcome. In fact, if you like feather bowling, it's the only place just about in North America where you can go and do it. And if you don't know what it is, you should definitely try it because like most sports, like bowling or feather bowling or darts, probably not axe throwing, it's more fun when you have a drink in your hand. But I don't know about the axe throwing. I just don't trust anybody enough to buy him a pitch and then let him throw something like that anywhere near me. The backswing alone
Give it a shot
you.
sometime. Sure, there's some people that would like to throw an axe or two at you.
You know, I did go to an axe throwing bar once after Bill Wild's charity hockey game in Westland, and I just saw people, and I said, you know what, I'm going to stay on the other side of the bar. That doesn't not much margin for error if you're not really good with a cleaver. So take your chances, I guess, folks. But the Caju, perfectly safe. No one's ever getting killed by a feather bowling ball. I guess that's what they call them, these big wooden cheese wheels that they roll down there towards a feather. Now, I can't say that no one's ever gotten hurt crossing Mike on the ice because Mike comes from, he wasn't in Slapshot, but he's from the Iron League days where you had to keep your head up. He's a defended policeman. He's cross-examined policeman. And I think on the ice he was known as a little bit of a policeman, although when I've seen him play, he's got some pretty slick mitts. So, Mike, welcome back. It's been too long.
Yeah, thanks, ML, for having me. It has been too long.
So 10 years ago, you and I decided, you know what? We got a little notoriety. Let's see if we can make something good happen out of it. And we talked Clark Park into putting on this charity hockey game. And we've raised, I think at this point, over $300,000 for the park. This is the 10th year. And every year, there's a new challenge. It's getting enough guys, getting sponsors, sometimes the weather. Do the refs show up? We've had deaths interrupt the game. We've had car accidents interrupt the game. In fact, one year we were getting ready to play, and I got the terrible news that Ron Savage had passed away at Fox 2. And that was, just not what you want to hear when you're trying to put on a feel-good event. And somehow we keep going through it. And Mike was... let me just tell you, Mike's busy, and he plays enough hockey as it is. And he made time to not only be a part of this, but to be a major part of this, help promote it, raise a ton of money. On the 10th anniversary, I got to ask you to reflect, Mike. What were you thinking at the time when I called you, and how do you feel about it all now?
Well, I missed it, to be honest with you. It was great. I really enjoyed it. It just that it sort of got to the point where, I can't skate anymore. I'm having knee surgery again on a week from Friday. So I'm not really playing hockey anymore. But yeah, I certainly miss it. And I have no regrets. It just kind of sort of ran its course for me. I had to take my skills raising money to other places. But yeah, I miss it. And I wish I could still skate, but I can't anymore. So that's where we're at on that.
Well, I got to tell you, for somebody who had to hang up his blades after so long, you seem very calm. I kind of thought when you couldn't get on the ice, you might not have any place to dispense some of that energy.
You know, ML, I tried skating this year back in November, December, and it just I can't go anymore. And so then I had back surgery a few years ago, and that didn't help things. And you know, I started playing hockey when I was I started organized hockey in 1965 at Farwell Field, and you know, played a lot of hockey over the years, et cetera, et cetera. So I miss it, but at the same time, I'm 65, almost 66 years old, so I had a good run. I play a lot of golf, ML, a lot of golf in the summertime. So obviously, there's not much to do in the wintertime, and I do miss it for that reason. But yeah, I just can't go anymore. Maybe after I have surgery, I'll see how it feels. But I've had 2 knee surgeries and back surgery in the last 3 years. So I'm kind of an old, broken down old man.
Well, it sounds like you're finally at a place where I could keep up with you. Now you got to retire. You're gonna deprive me of my chance to even things up. That doesn't seem very sporting.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So, like I said, I miss it, but and I miss doing the thing, the fundraiser, the charity game with you. But like I said, it's kind of things happened, and I had to, I took my ball and went in a different direction. But the time that we did raise the money for Clark Park together, it was very rewarding, and I was glad to be a part of it. That's for sure.
We had a lot of fun doing the promos at Fox 2. We did one where Huell was even dressed up as a referee, which was a lot of fun. But the best thing about this is when Mike started playing, Farwell Field. Now that's probably outdoor rink, right?
That was outdoors, and that was my first year of organized hockey, and that would have been 1965.
Yeah, so we're talking City of Detroit outdoor hockey. Most people think that you got to be in your 60s to remember that, but the rink at Clark Park is outdoors. It's an outstanding rink. It's the Red Wings have practiced there. I mean, it's top quality, and it's a lot of fun. And it's not just for people who play hockey seriously like Mike or pretenders like me. Every afternoon during the week from like 2 to 5:30, you can go there and skate for free. The ice is wide open. You just get some skates from the skate room, whether you have skates or not, whether you've ever skated, and you just get out there.
Just stick and puck. Go out there with stick and puck.
Sure, yeah, and they got the sticks and the pucks, and if you want to go out there and work on your figure eights, I'm still working on figure 1.
After my surgery, ML, and I heal up, we're going to go out and put our stuff on and tool around a little bit. That would be fun.
That sounds good, and it's free, and it's something. When you go to Clark Park, one of the amazing things is, and this is probably not going to sound right, but I'm just going to put it out there. You see people on the ice who you don't see on the ice in a lot of other places. You see a lot of young Hispanic kids. You see black kids. You see kids that don't have a lot of money because hockey isn't a cheap sport. But this is a place where it's free. This is where you can participate. This is where if you have a kid who wants to play, they're looking for kids. This is a place where hockey is accessible, where everybody has a chance to learn the lessons of hockey, things like hard work, things like dedication, things like teamwork. And I think all sports teach you that. But I came to hockey pretty late. I used to, just tool around on a frozen field, but I can't really play very well. But when I was coaching my daughters, the things that I thought that was the most valuable about hockey, and I'm interested to hear what Mike says because he's actually a real coach, is that at the beginning of the season, there's things you can't do. You can't even imagine that you can do, like skating backwards, for example, or crossovers, things like that. And if you come to practice every time and you work hard at practice, by the end of the season, you're doing those things. And they're things that no one could have convinced you were capable of that. And just a little bit at a time, by falling down, kids today, I think they have to succeed the first time. No, you got to fall. If you're not falling, you're not trying. And if you put yourself out there and you listen to the coach and you try, you can acquire skills that you thought were beyond your wildest imagination. And I think beyond sports, because I'm a big believer that sports teaches about life and that life isn't about sports, although I don't know how I could live without them, that things are possible. And that's why we talk about, sports making better people. Mike will tell you I can't skate backwards, so this is highly theoretical in my case. But what? I don't know, Mike. Why do we love hockey so much?
Oh, it's just one of those games. I think that once you get bit, it's and it's I think one of the beauties of hockey is that you can play, as long as your body will hold up. I mean, I skate with the Red Wing alumni, and this year I haven't, but in the years past I have, and Mickey Redmond's out there, and he's in his 70s. Red Berenson's out there. He's 80, and he can still skate pretty good. So, it's a game that you can play your whole life, really, which is the beauty of it. And once you get bit, it's something that's really hard to let go of. I've just come to the realization that my body just hasn't held up. It can't hold that, it just won't operate the way that it used to. So, but maybe, in the short term, I'll be able to get back out there. But I certainly miss it. But, our priorities change as we get older. So, but that's the beauty of the game, I think, ML, is that you can play it forever as long as you can stand up and move. So.
When I played in that game that Bill Wild, I think he still puts on at Westland, Dennis Hextall was out there, who used to be the captain of the Red Wing in the 70s.
Yeah. I mean, when I was coaching Little Caesars U18 team in the 2000s out of Joe Louis, Hexty was running the alumni at the time. And he's crazier than the $3 bill, this guy. Great guy. Great guy. But, man, he still competes like crazy, this guy.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw him skating at Olympia when I was a kid. And then I'm on the ice next to him, and he's 80-something and still way better than me. So I guess I'll never catch up. But one of the things you probably remember about the game is every year something would happen. We always have to deal with something. And these guys on this show, Mike, they always grind my gears because I'm not on the Lions bandwagon. I gave up on the Lions a long time because
he's the worst.
I don't believe in rewarding bad behavior. And now that they're finally good, I'm open to the Lions. But that door slammed Monday morning when I got a call from one of my co-captains, Costa Papista, who said, "Hey, did you know?" Now, I should set this up a little bit. I'm in bed Monday getting over COVID, so I'm like wiped out. And I get this call at 8:30 in the morning. It says, "Did you know the Lions are playing at 8 o'clock on Saturday night?" Now, we go on the ice at 7 Saturday night. I said, that's not going to be good for anybody. And sure enough, we start getting the messages, "Hey, are we still on? Because I got tickets to the game," so on and so forth. So now, of all the challenges you and I face, Mike, now we got to move the game time less than a week before the game starts. We got guys locked in.
When's it going to be? What time is it going to be at?
Well, so we made a lot of phone calls, and I'm still not sure about the refs, but we made a lot of machinations, and we're still counting heads. But now it looks like we're going to play at 9:30 on Saturday at Clark Park. That's this Saturday, January 18th at 9:30 a.m. for the men's game.
A.M., yeah.
A.M.
Yep.
And the women are going to play still at 6 p.m.
Oh, that's a good time, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bright. One of the problems that I had out there when we did do it is when it got dark like that, it was hard for me to see. I couldn't see shit out there. So at least you're playing it today. And by the way, Costa Papista is one of my dear friends. I love the guy.
Yeah, terrific
awesome.
guy.
I've known Costa forever and played a lot of hockey with Costa over the years. So I'm glad that he's involved with you on that one.
Elric,
that's awesome.
Are you? Does it help a little bit to know that the Pistons moved their game up too to not conflict with the Lions?
They didn't move it to 9:30 a.m., did they?
Just 1 hour. Just 1 hour. But I mean, the Lions are controlling everything around here.
Yeah, they are. So So we were talking about playing Friday night maybe, but that's the Michigan State game in Ann Arbor.
Oh, that's right.
I already gave up on the Michigan State game in East Lansing on Saturday night. Now I got the Lions, the Pistons, but yeah, the Lions are controlling everything. In fact, I think if there's anybody from the Lions listening, they're probably like, I'm not listening to that son of a bitch. He's been running us down even when we're good. But if you're listening, I think a very large donation from the Lions charities to Clark Park would maybe help offset what we've been going through. This is a nightmare.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I got it. And Bill Ford, who I think probably is not as influential with the Lions now as he used to be when his dad was running the team, is a big hockey player. He's a pretty well-known guy for getting out there and doing the pond hockey up north and then just skating around local rinks. But I don't know if he brings his checkbook to the rink. I don't like to leave my wallet in the locker room.
You don't like to leave your wallet anywhere.
There's not much in it. But
Mike, I wanted to ask you, so the knees going, the back's going, the mind's still sharp. You're still defending federal, your federal criminal defense attorney. I think I got that right. Yeah. A new administration coming in. How does that change anything you do? Are you going to see different types of cases? How does that work from your position?
I guess we're going to have to wait and see, Mark. It has been slow for the last 4 years. I guess in terms of what we do, we'll just continue to do what we do. It doesn't matter who's in charge over there. But are they going to indict more people now? Is it going to be not so? Is it going to be a not so kindler and gentler U.S. Attorney's office? We don't know. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. We're going to do what we do, and whoever's in charge will have to push back, and that's what we do. So we're kind of sitting around waiting to see who's going to be in charge. Most of us that practice federal criminal law over there. So it'll be interesting to see who Trump puts in charge. So we're all kind of waiting.
So this is something I don't think people understand. Every state, some states have multiple districts, like Detroit's in the Eastern District of Michigan, Lansing and Grand Rapids are in the Western District. They're each led by a U.S. attorney, which is really the top federal prosecutor. They are appointed by the President of the United States. Now, last time, Trump took quite a while to get a federal prosecutor in Detroit. I think partly because he didn't think he was going to win and people didn't expect him to win in 2016, so they didn't have the kind of transition work done. But he seems to be hitting the ground fast. And if you've seen Pete Hegseth being in his confirmation hearings today, Trump's moving fast. I'm very curious to hear who he's going to have as our federal prosecutor. Are they going to focus more on deportation issues? Is it going to be more, in the past, prosecutors have made public corruption a top priority. And Trump's last prosecutor, Matthew Snyder, made public corruption a top priority. I don't know if it has been as big a priority under Don Eisen, who was a Biden appointee. But these prosecutors, they changed the whole tone and tenor of the way the federal law enforcement works in your state, in your town, because they're the ones that the FBI comes to with the cases. They're just the ones who decide whether or not to bring charges. And politics can be a really big factor in that. If you have a lot of billionaires contributing to the inauguration, maybe you don't have as much white-collar criminal prosecutions. If you've vowed that you're going to be strict on the border, maybe people coming over from Canada better watch out and make sure they don't make any mistakes. But one of the things that...
Is the question going to be, are we going to have these dragnets, for example, in Southwest Detroit, where a lot of Hispanic people live? Are they going to knock on doors and, start yanking people out of houses and deporting them and their families? I mean, I guess that's one of the questions we're kind of sitting around waiting to see. I would agree with you, Mel. Probably immigration is going to be a big issue for us moving forward over the next 4 years. Let's just see how ugly it's going to get, I guess, is where I'm at on it. So,
one of the things that I always get a kick out of is when you're talking to federal defenders, that's lawyers who defend people charged with criminal charges or civil charges for that matter in U.S. District Court. It's always like, these prosecutors, they're running amok. They're charging everybody. These cases are crap. They got nothing on these guys. And then when they're not charging anybody, it's like, yeah, they're not really working that hard over there. They're not doing their job. It's like,
more work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you strike that balance between prosecution run amok and having to work on your putting in the off season?
Exactly. I know. It has been slow though over the last 4 years. I will say that it hasn't been. There just haven't been as many cases the last 4 years as I've seen over the course of my career. So we'll see if that changes. But in response to Marc's earlier question, nothing changes. We just do our thing, and we represent the folks that we represent, and we do the best that we can. Are we going to get deals? Is it going to be plead guilty or go to trial? I mean, we just don't know.
So who really decides the cases, ML? Because you mentioned the FBI, and Mike, you've battled with the FBI a time or two, and they follow their leads. There's going to be a pretty major change at the top of that. Christopher Wray is stepping down. I think Kash Patel's the nominee. How does that affect what you do, Mike? I mean, the FBI's lead, is it them or is it the prosecutors?
Well, this Kash Patel thing is interesting. First of all, the guy is completely unqualified. He's a nut job. Okay. But I'm curious. I mean, the FBI is full of career special agents, and they're supposed to be non-political. And of course, Patel is nothing but political. So that's an interesting dynamic too. I mean, how are these career FBI agents going to react to Patel, who's basically come out and said, we're going to exact revenge against Trump's enemies? How is that going to play out? I mean, there's a lot of questions, more questions than answers, that's for sure, as to what's going to happen over the next 4 years.
I'm wondering if I'm going to need an attorney, because Patel has said he's going to go after members of the media. He wants to.
I mean, this guy's an asshole. I mean, plain and simple. He's got no business being head of the FBI. I mean, what are his qualifications? I mean, I heard he was just a hack lawyer at one point doing, he was a public defender, I think, at one time. Not even a very good one from what I've heard or what I've been told. And then he went to work for the Justice Department and was in the U.S. attorney, and then, got into Trump's orbit somehow and had some national security job, whatever the fuck that was. But the guy's a complete fucking idiot.
I think he wrote a children's book about Trump, didn't he?
Yeah, he wrote a children's book where he's the protector of Trump.
Oh, okay. Well,
you haven't seen it? You got to look it up, man. It's bizarre.
Is it on Amazon? I guess Jeff Bezos is probably selling it cheap now. He's giving you a discount. You get a Washington Post subscription along with your Kash Patel nighttime stories book. Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what happens. And one of the I'm glad Shawn's not here, but get the bell ready anyway. One of the stories that if I ever sell this damn Kilpatrick book, I'll be telling people, but everybody gets it now for free, is that there was a lot of disagreement in the U.S. Attorney's Office. They had some turnover from administration to administration on what they were going to do with this Kilpatrick public corruption case. And there was a big push within the U.S. Attorney's Office to just move on once Kilpatrick resigned as mayor, because they thought, well, he can't do any more harm. He's why punish this guy who's basically been neutered? And Andy Arena, who at the time was a special agent in charge of the U.S. Of the FBI office in Detroit, says that he met with prosecutors and he said, listen, this is a good case. We're going to bring this case forward. And if you guys don't bring this case forward, I'm going to the Justice Department of Washington. I'm going to tell them we got a bunch of chicken shit prosecutors here in Michigan, and we got to get something going on this. And he claims that he's had to do this before when he was in New York, when he was working, I think, organized crime. And at that point, I think Barb McQuaid may have been the U.S. attorney. Folks who watch MSNBC have probably seen her plenty of times there. Now she's a talking head as well as being a law professor at U of M. And Andy claims that he dynamited this thing and he got the feds to finally move and to bring some indictments. So I think the FBI can be somewhat instrumental in this. But, and Mike, I don't know if you have a feel for this or not, but my sense is that's more of an extraordinary circumstance where the FBI tells the U.S. attorney what they're going to do. More often than not, the prosecutor tells the cops it ain't a good enough case, because the prosecutors, they don't want to lose. They want to go in there with a dead nuts case. Basically, for those of you guys who play euchre, a lay down loner where you got all the cards and nobody can beat you no matter what they got.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't have a feel for it at this point. We're all kind of just sitting around waiting to see how it's going to play out. But you're right. Usually it's the prosecutors that tell the cops what's up, whether we're going to do it or not. But you're telling me something I didn't even know. I did not know that Andy Arena pushed the buttons on that one to force Bob McQuaid's hand. That's interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah, well, I think there were federal prosecutors who wanted to move forward, and there's some who didn't. And I think Andy kind of came in there and, tipped the balance. And, people thought, oh, Kilpatrick's never going to get involved in anything. Oh, he's going away for 28 years. Boy, I'll tell you what, this Kilpatrick guy, you can't predict nothing except maybe we did set him up for a comeback. Maybe as U.S. attorney.
That would be bizarre, dude, if that happened. I mean, I don't see it, but I guess anything's possible, right?
How do you deal with that? The federal prosecutor, Kwame Kilpatrick, calls Mike Rataj into the office and says, hey, Mike, we're bringing a case against your guy. What do you have to say?
I don't know what I'd say. I'd be like, you know what? When I saw him pandering for Trump, I just about threw up. So, whatever. I mean, it's a bizarre world out there today, ML. We all know that, Up is down, down is up, right is left, left is right, whatever. So,
well, Mike, based on what I heard when we were hanging out together every day, if you bring some money in your brassiere to his office, it might help you out.
I mean, who knows? That would be really crazy if that happened, but I don't see it, but anything's possible, ML. We all know that.
But are you going to write a letter for him if he needs some endorsements?
Not me.
I don't think so.
Maybe my friend Jim Thomas will.
Jim has not met a client that he doesn't love. That's why he's such an effective and passionate advocate. So, as are you, Mike. Mike is someone who, if you're in trouble, you get 100% from him. I'd say 110, but we know that's not actually possible. And if Kash Patel sends me a target letter, Mike, I may be calling you about something other than coming back on the podcast.
If they go after the press, I would be more than happy to do it for free. Okay, let's put it that way.
Mark, we're recording.
It's on
Write
record.
that down, right?
Okay, yeah, that one we're clipping that.
If they came after UML, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, they're gonna have to take a number. But this year, I will not be squaring off against Mike at Clark Park on Saturday. But we hope to get back out there on the ice together. Maybe just a little shinny or something.
I would love to just come out there and tool around, like you said, after I heal up a bit.
Okay, well,
it'll still be cold.
We can discuss my defense.
Yes, definitely.
But not my defense on my ice. If it's my defense on the ice, we're in trouble. So Mike, really appreciate everything you've done over the years for the kids and for Clark Park. Mike served on the board there for a while. If you've ever served on a board of a nonprofit before, that's quite the commitment, quite the experience, and may leave someone with a little post-traumatic stress disorder. But Mike's been a great guy, great lawyer. Mike Rataj, thanks for being with us.
All right, thanks, ML. Thanks a lot, Mark. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, fellas. All right, be good.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, buddy.
I always love having him on.
Oh, he's great.
He's such a good guest.
He's great.
He's not pulling any punches.
Hey, Mark, some podcast producers might think that planning for retirement can be a pain in the butt. Does that include you?
I mean, yeah, it can be a pain in the butt. I wish there was someone in there that could help us.
Well, it doesn't have to be that way, Mark.
It doesn't?
That's right. If your preparations, A to G, are a resounding failure, maybe let Luke Nowacki help you out with your preparation H. You see what he did there?
I do.
A to G.
Yeah,
And then
got to be prepared.
Hopefully, Luke can provide some relief on your time of pain and confusion. You'll only know if you call him. And you can call Luke at 248-663-4748, because when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. member FINRA SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
Does my post-COVID voice sound kind of sexy and husky
No,
like
not at all.
Sean?
Sounds ill,
Oh, does it? Okay.
like Shawn. Nobody has pipes like Shawn.
Well, let's
there he is.
let's bring in the dulcimer hammer, as he's known, Shawn Windsor. Welcome, Shawn.
Oh, good to be back. It's been a while. Do you have a retainer in your mouth? Is everything okay?
The only thing in my head is that I retain are facts
Oh Christ!
and grievances. Shawn, I was in Chicago, and I can't rule that trip out for this illness. For the frozen confines when Michigan State played at Wrigley Field, and Michigan played the night before. And I had a Shawn Windsor experience. I was at Pequod's Pizza on the north side with my brother and some friends who live in Chicago, and a guy who was there with his kids say, "Hey, ML, I love the podcast."
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So people wondering, does this show have reach? It does, far and wide.
Right, Shawn?
Yeah, no, that sounds fun. I was in Chicago a few weeks ago myself. I don't remember why. The Lions, maybe.
Yes, they played in Chicago.
Sort of community service obligation, perhaps.
Was it the Lions? And I ended up at a restaurant kind of bar late at night. And,
that was the same weekend. Oh no, it wasn't. Sorry.
No, it was the end of December. But Shawn's, you're like my dad, where he's like, "Was I there?" Like, yes, you were. I remember. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I went to a place called Au Cheval, which is kind of a hipster dark bar. They're known for their burger, and it's a 3-hour wait. But if you go by yourself, you can sit. You can get a seat at the bar right next to the kitchen. And then the guy expediting all the food kept handing me stuff to try and a little piece of fried bologna. It was great. It was fun. You just never know. Hey, I could have stayed in, walked across the street to 7-Eleven and gotten a Hot Pocket or whatever. But no, I'll drag my butt out and see what the world has to offer, and it wasn't so bad.
It's good to know that your definition of haute cuisine involves fried bologna.
Oh, fried bologna.
What's the difference between fried bologna and a Hot Pocket?
Well,
no pocket?
They make their own bologna. I mean, that's the thing. That's the key.
It's not bologna or bologna.
I mean, I get a bologna. Yeah, I guess you could say that. But no, it was fun. You strike up conversations. I actually drank a beer. Marc would have been proud of me for that.
I am very proud.
Yeah. So there you go. And the Lions, if I'm not mistaken, they won.
They did. Yeah, it was not that long ago.
That's all they do is win and screw up hockey. That's what they do. And there's
a lot. Speaking of winning, there's a lot of winning going on all of a sudden in our city. What is happening?
It's contagious.
Trump. He said if he gets elected,
we'll be sick of all this winning.
We're going to win so much, we're going to get sick of it.
But you're referring to the fact that the Wings haven't lost this year, the Pistons have lost once this year. Of course, the Lions haven't lost this calendar year, which is pretty wild. This whole month has been great to be a sports fan. Michigan and Michigan State basketball,
7 in a row. Michigan State may end up being the two best teams in the Big Ten in basketball. The Pistons went into New York last night, or Monday night, I guess, and beat the Knicks. Cade Cunningham starting to look like a superstar player. They've won like 9 of 11. And then the Lions are the number 1 seed for the first time in their history. It's crazy.
I was going to say, it just seems like everything is Lions. How do you keep finding out, or how do you find or think of stuff to write about the Lions?
It is a little tricky because, I feel like, Michigan State deserves a column or two. Michigan, I did get to Michigan a few weeks ago, but, they're playing really good ball. The Wings deserve some ink. So do the Pistons. And yet, the Lions, why we have this right now, because look, the season could end Saturday night, right? I mean, it could. And that would be that. And you can say to yourself, well, there's plenty of time to go do other stuff. And that's probably the way you have to do it. But to answer your question, fortunately, football has 53 players on the active roster and a huge coaching staff and 60 years worth of storylines with this franchise. So we don't really run out of things to say. Right now, one of the storylines is, can the Lions stop a running quarterback? You know how fan bases tend to think if their team is struggling with something, they're the only team that struggles with that thing in the entire sport. right? And that's not really the case. Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders' young, exciting quarterback, is a running quarterback, and so some fans are like, oh, we struggle with running quarterbacks. Well, who doesn't struggle with Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, or even with Jaden all year, even last week with Jaden, they struggled.
Or Josh Allen. So, but it's interesting, and maybe this is true in other facets of life too. How you follow your thing in your community, and you tend to think this is the only community where it's like that, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, no, there's similarities abound everywhere. But I was glad to see you write something different about Jake Bates, because all you ever really hear is, oh, he's a brick salesman or his religion. I mean, those are like the two big things you know about him. But finally, you took it as, hey, he's kicking so well that it might actually challenge Dan Campbell to rethink his fourth down calls.
In certain situations, right? Depending on the game and how the defense is playing and what the numbers are. But it made me think, okay, if he had Jake Bates on last year's team in the NFC title game against San Francisco, does he go for both of those fourth downs in the second half? He may still go for the first one. They were up, I want to say, two scores. And so maybe you're not – and San Francisco was starting to move the ball. But the second one in the fourth quarter when they're down 3, does he bring Bates out to try to tie the game? Because at that point you just want to tie the game with whatever 8-9 minutes left, however much time is left. It might be different. So to me, Bates on the Lions this year, he's got a great backstory. But what it does is change the math for Campbell. It gives him more opportunities, more probabilities to sift through,
and less excuses if it fails, right?
Yeah, right.
Shawn,
I mean, they're gonna have the defense excuse if they don't do this.
I just mean if he goes for it on fourth down and doesn't get it in the past, you could say, well, people would speculate, oh, it's because the kicker's not that strong. Well, now you don't have that.
No, you don't. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys have talked about this or even thought about this. I know a lot of times we like to shout out the Detroit Free Press and some of the work, but have you checked out Jeff Seidel's 3-part series about kind of the inside, the executives? He sat down with Sheila Hamp, Rod Wood, Disner, one of the executives, Chris Spielman, Brad Holmes, and kind of put together a TikTok of how the culture changed, and Matthew Stafford, kind of the scene of Matthew Stafford going to them in private and saying, "Hey, I want to trade. I want to trade to a contender, and hopefully you guys can get enough from me that you can win a Super Bowl a few years later."
I did not see that. Where's that available at?
At Freep.com, at the Detroit Free Press. The series started, I want to say Sunday. Today's day 3 of the piece. It kind of broken out into different subjects, but it's been wildly popular online, and it's really good stuff. Good access. Some of these executives talking for the first time publicly, and it's been great.
Didn't Carlos have a companion piece that said the Lions aren't going to win the Super Bowl?
Oh, kind of like Tarek Skubal not winning the Cy Young.
Oh, wow. Damn. Speaking of hard ones, if the Lions lose on Saturday, will they be the most disappointing 15-2 team in Detroit history?
And now you sound like Carlos. What do you think, Mark?
Well, yeah. I mean, anything short of the Super Bowl is considered a bust. I mean, last year was all bonus, but yeah.
But that's what I mean. That's where the Lions are now. I mean, first of all,
expectations have changed.
There's never been a 15-2 Lions team, but it used to be, can we be 9-7 and make the playoffs? Then it couldn't be, can we get a home playoff game? Then it was, can we get a home playoff win? Now we're the number 1 seed. Even if they win, people aren't going to be satisfied. They got one down away kind of from the Super Bowl. I mean, it feels like it's all or nothing this year because the coaches are going to leave, right? Chris Spielman may leave the front office. I mean,
there's always changes.
They got to keep the band together.
Yeah. It's not to say they
can't.
It's not to say they wouldn't be able to do it next year. It's just, boy, you got to strike now. That's how I felt about Michigan football last year. It's like, if they don't win the national championship, this is in the
before
season.
The indictments.
Yeah. But if they weren't going to win the national championship last year, it's like, I don't know when they're going to win it because they were stacked. They had everybody back. There was continuity among the coaches. They had a favorable schedule. It's like, that was the year. And guess what? They did it.
Yeah, it's tough to get all those pieces to align, but let's hope it does for the Lions.
Do you remember that when they did that? That wasn't that great.
Who, what?
By the way, how do you feel about Ohio State now potentially winning the national championship the very next year?
Boy, that's a really tough question. I will state I think I want Notre Dame to win. I do want Notre. I have more friends that are Notre Dame fans, more family members that are Buckeyes, but more friends that are Notre Dame fans.
Yeah,
And-
so to heck with your family is what you're saying.
Exactly. Well, they celebrated one 11 years ago. It's been a long time for Notre Dame. So, and plus I like Marcus Freeman and don't really care for Ryan Day. So I'm really avoiding your question, but I would rather Ohio State win it. Not that I'm
For the Big Ten.
but I'm not really like go Big Ten, but just I'm just glad that the SEC is nowhere to be found. Right?
Yeah, the
I
SEC.
think that's the. What about you, Mike? You probably don't care as much because you don't have the same rivalry. But are you pulling for the Big Ten?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is Michigan plays Ohio State. Who do I cheer for? If I got to pick somebody.
Sure. Well, it's kind of the
Or
prisoner's
Alabama
dilemma.
plays anybody, Alabama plays the devil. All of a sudden, I'm selling my soul. I would. Now, a friend of mine's son is on the Notre Dame team, so I have some sentimental connection there. But it wouldn't break my heart if Ohio State won it. I do feel sorry for Ryan Day, and I do think it's true that somehow Michigan has got in their head.
I do too.
What do you mean? Why do you feel sorry for him?
Well, you can't tell me that you don't like obnoxious, arrogant asses as coaches because it will contradict everything that you've got going on.
About. I don't know why I would feel sorry for a guy that's making $10 million. Is it because the fan base attacks him? I mean, that going in that's going to happen. I mean, these are deals that are this is the shit you're going to get if you don't win certain games.
I like more of his stories. He's a New Hampshire kid who played small college football, who now leads one of the most powerful college football programs in the country. I kind of like the up from the sticks story. But
depending if you like or care about the school. I mean, do you like Dusty May's story?
Listen,
do you like Sharon Moore's story?
If you're wearing maize or scarlet, you can kiss my scarlet ass. But if I got to cheer for somebody, I'm going with my New Hampshire boy.
I don't like Ryan Day because I find him to be very performative, and what I mean by that is he's always playing the role of being tough or the dancing.
Who's got it better than us? I mean, performative. You got to be kidding me.
I think that comes from a very weirdly genuine place with Jim.
I would agree. I would agree with that. He's not performative. He may be a little different, but he's not performative.
But I find Ryan Day to be that way. Just like where's Lou Holtz at? Like this was a tough thing. Like it just seemed corny and I didn't seem real. I don't know.
I think it's just sometimes when somebody's getting hammered, I'm with you, Mike, when somebody's getting hammered and taking a lot of crap, as Ryan Day has done, and those people are just rabid. That's maybe not even the best word. They're crazy.
But that's the deal. That's the deal you make when you coach there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's the deal you make when you coach there, though.
Yeah, but no amount of money is going to, the way his wife and his daughters, I mean, the things you have to go through. And look, I get it. It's just similar in politics.
Yeah.
Any kind of public life, really. Money doesn't help you sleep at night, though, when you're going through something like that. And
it doesn't hurt.
And you're wondering if
hire a doctor to give you injections, but that doesn't always end up well.
Yeah, you can get a nice Ambien script.
I don't miss money. We all want a certain level of money because we don't want to worry about where our next meal's coming from. Once you're past that, though, you're just in a bigger house, but you're still with your own thoughts and your soul in the middle of the night. Money can't do a thing about that. And so I think that's what Mike's trying to say is that, it's fun to see somebody kind of withstand that and then say, hey, to heck with you.
Let me be clear. It's never fun to see Ohio State win. But between Notre Dame and Ohio State, two insane, privileged fan bases, I guess I'm going to go with the local boys.
To that point, I do find, and it's very anecdotal, but in my travels, I find the Notre Dame fans to be very nice and welcoming, and it can't be said the same from the people from Columbus. Sorry.
I've been to Columbus a few times, and I've been to South Bend once and never had a problem either place, Ann Arbor.
Well, I didn't say Columbus was the worst.
No.
So you like Catholics? Remember when Notre Dame was playing Miami back in the '80s? The whole
Catholics versus convicts.
Catholics versus convicts.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's great.
I don't know that we can say that.
They like geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
It would be too easy for me to make the Lions the Geek of the Week because they're messing up this really wonderful charity.
Well, and everybody loves them, so.
Well, then if you don't have one, I've got a geek of the week, so go ahead.
There's that too. Oh,
look at that. Well, fire away.
Go ahead, Mike.
I defer to the gentleman from Ann Arbor. I cede my time.
Well, I want to hear both of them, and I'll decide who's worse.
Okay, I'll start. If you're watching these Senate confirmation hearings in Washington right now, let me just give you a little tip, something you can use as you're watching them. Anybody who starts off their confirmation hearing or tries to deflect their lack of qualifications by blaming the media, but never saying how the media is wrong, you might want to look a little closer at them. And everybody in the world likes to put their excuse. They like to blame somebody else for what didn't go wrong. For all those people who are out there blaming the media, let me just suggest you ask one question if you get a chance to query them. Ask them what the media got wrong. And if they can't answer you, then they are my geek of forever, ever, ever, ever. Okay, Shawn, that's a low bar.
Did someone do that in the hearing? I haven't paid attention to the hearings. Who did
Well, again,
that?
I don't want to make this a partisan issue because it happens all the time.
That's who's having hearings now. So
Yeah.
who was it?
Well, Pete Hegseth, who's...
Well, that's why I wondered, because he was part of the media.
He was part of the media, and let me tell you something. He was part of the entertainment media.
Yeah,
he was a talking head.
Over $4 million, according to his financial disclosure.
So we got $4 million. Those of us who only traffic in facts make considerably less by at least a factor of 10. Again, I don't want to make this about Hegseth because this is happening all the time. It's happening more and more these days. People blame the media, but they don't say what the media got wrong. But if we want to stick on Pete Hegseth, when I heard him blaming the media, here's what I didn't hear him criticizing. His mom, who wrote that letter saying he's a rotten, stinking, bad guy. I don't know whether he is or not. Never met him before, but mom wasn't too keen on him. So
she did.
While he's blaming people who said shit about him, don't forget mom, Pete.
She did back off of that, though. So I guess.
Yeah, because she didn't want him moving back in the basement. He had to quit that good job once he got nominated. Again, this isn't partisan. I'm saying if you're going to blame people who say shit about you and your mom says shit about you, make sure you blame mom too.
Shawn, who was the geek that you had?
I hope my mom's not listening.
I don't want to say the Coca-Cola company. I guess we could say the makers of Tab.
You just said it.
We could say the director of a certain commercial. It's just been circulating around. I don't know. It's just it makes you realize how, fortunately, how far we come, but how things used to be. Here's some ad copy from a Tab commercial from the 1960s. When you can't be with him, be in his mind. Be a mind sticker with a shape you can't forget. The idea is drink Tab so when your husband's at work, he will fantasize about you because you're in shape because you're drinking Tab.
Yeah, okay.
Therefore, be a mind sticker.
Yeah,
that was the slogan. Be a mind sticker.
Yeah, it's a good positive. That's a good positive message.
Where can I get some of this Tab?
That's a good positive message.
Is this still available?
What are you talking about? Are you saying there's no truth in advertising, Shawn?
Do they sell it by the drum?
Be a mind sticker. Let him go to work. You stay home and be ready to be on your knees when you get home. That's more or less what the commercial was.
You're really reading into that spot, aren't you?
Learning a little about Shawn's fantasies.
I saw the ad too.
Oral freak.
And she's not on her knees, but she's waiting at the door and then grabs his hand and takes him upstairs. So what else are you supposed to think?
Maybe it's a split level home, and that's where the kitchen is, where she's provided him a fine meal.
She better be cleaning it,
with some Fresca bubbling in the.
Back in those days, there were a lot of tri-levels.
Tom Collins glass.
Tri-levels with sunken living rooms.
And key parties.
Remember the sunken living room?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna vote for Elric's Geek of the Week over that one. I mean, that's just an advertiser.
But so are there new ads along these lines, Shawn? Are you
Tab
going back
exist.
to the '60s for Tab exists?
What's funny?
Yeah.
No. For whatever reason, this particular ad and this copy is just making the rounds on social media. Partly because just to say, hey, look, this is how it was when your parents were young.
The good old days.
Our age, for our generation. What is our generation?
Generation X. Thanks. We're only here because of the mind stickers, by the way, while you're getting down on Tab.
I just thought that was funny, the mind sticker. That's my geek of the week, the person who wrote the mind sticker.
Okay. Elric, you win. Congratulations.
I like it when we all get participation awards, Mark.
See you again.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance to
Welcome to Room 7609, where we take music, maybe that you've never heard of before, and try and elevate it, or maybe we just have a great story from you. And this segment is brought to you by the Caju Cafe, which is a great place for a great time. They got great food, great fun, great stuff every night. This Wednesday, every Wednesday, it's karaoke. On Thursday, Bill Meyer Group Trio is going to be performing. It's also one of the longest open jams in the city, so you can come and bring your acts if you want to get in on the act. Friday, David Winans PI is playing. Saturday, Lamont Zodiac. Sunday, Planet D None. And Monday is always Muscle Madness, all you can eat mussels. To find out more about what's going on at the Caju Cafe, go to caju.com or hit the link on our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit.com. If you've been admiring our fantastic graphics lately, a lot of them are provided to us by our own friend, Mr. Magoo, and he gave us a Christmas Room 7609 suggestion. We could not work it in over the holidays, but with the wildfires raging in California, and, you know, if we know people out there, God bless them, because I don't know what's going to happen with that mess. Mr. Magoo suggested this with a Christmas thought in mind, but I think it's apropos now, and here's what he says. Hey, ML, it's your old pal, Mr. Magoo, with a Christmas-related Room 7609 suggestion. It's Tojo by the Aussie band Hoodoo Gurus.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, so let's listen to a little hoodoo, or are they gurus? What do they call themselves? And I'll tell you why this was on his mind at Christmas and why we should be thinking about it this very day.
Tracy was angry, a bad mood. I told her that it's an ill wind, blows no good. Then she told me, Tojo, never mind. Tojo, never made it too close. Tojo, never mind. Tojo, never made it too close. I said, Tracy, could you listen? This is Christmas. Hey, don't you go. Don't you go. She said, David, believe me, I wouldn't miss this for the world. I got to blow. I got to blow. She said again, Tojo, never mind. Tojo, never made it too long. Tojo, never mind. Tojo, never made it too here. Tojo, never made it too long. I wanna hear about it. Tojo, never made it. Tojo, never made it too long. Tojo, never made it too long. You said Tojo, never made it to Darwin, never made it to Darwin. That year Santa never came.
So my first thought is fantastic sideburns. Unbelievable.
Song's not bad. I kind of like it.
Oh, I do too. And the hole in the ozone layer is particularly bad over Australia. And I think the rest of the world feels responsible for that. When you look at the lead singer of the Hoodoo Gurus, the amount of Aquanet that was used to put that hairdo together, I have to say the Aussies bear some responsibility for their own plight there. But a great tune. And there's, of course, more importantly, a great story. Mr. Magoo says, I know you like the story behind the story, so here goes. The song is about Cyclone Tracy, which devastated the Australian city of Darwin on Christmas Eve in 1974. Tracy was originally expected to bypass the city, and later warnings of her threat were largely ignored as Christmas celebrations took hold. The lack of preparations led to dire consequences. Tracy destroyed about 80% of Darwin, killing over 60 people and leaving more than 25,000 of its residents homeless. Tojo in the title refers to World War II Japanese General and Prime Minister Hideki Tojo, whose forces heavily bombed the city but never made it to Darwin, in part because the threat of an invasion was taken seriously. The main takeaway of the song is at Christmas time, when we tend to focus on all the things we want, perhaps we should give pause and be thankful for the things we didn't get. Peace out. Well,
it's a cool story about that song. I had no idea. I like that song.
It's a cool story. It's a good tune.
Yeah.
I've heard of the Hoodoo Gurus before, but never really paid too much attention. Maybe didn't take them seriously because of the name. But this kind of is apropos of what's going on in California right now. I don't know that people were ready for this. I don't know that warnings were heeded and devastation has set in. So Mr. Magoo, a timeless genius, as you know from his art, but now you know from his raconteuring.
Shawn,
Raconteur is also a great band.
Shawn, how much did you love that song?
That was not bad, actually. I mean, normally I don't like the segment, but that wasn't bad.
Yeah, we know.
You know?
Yeah. We know you don't.
I think if you didn't run to the loo every time the song came on, you may have more appreciation for the music.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Yeah.
Mr. Magoo, you've pleased.
You got a kind of fun out of them.
The unpleasable. So please send your suggestions to us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Please send us your money. Those people in Darwin, they didn't get what they wanted, which I guess was a tornado-free Christmas. This is going to be a tough segue here, but we didn't get what we wanted for Christmas either, which is Marc's favorite gift. Your cash.
Always. Cash is the best gift.
That's right. So you can send us some dough by going to mlsoulofdetroit.com, hit the donate button. You can donate via PayPal or Venmo. But we really appreciate it when you become one of our soulmates. That is our monthly supporters group that you join on Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get to watch the show. You get the show before anybody else. You get to listen to the show without the annoying insertion ads. And every month, you get a bonus episode. We don't know what our bonus episode will be for January, but we expect it to involve our long missing but soon to be returned co-host, Erica Erickson. And if you want to see some of our past bonus episodes, I understand that you can just purchase them or any of our episodes that you want to watch.
Any video.
Marc, how does that work?
Just go to Patreon and search ML Soul of Detroit and then look at the individual episodes.
And it's cheap, right? I mean,
super simple. Yeah, I think $5 is the cheapest we can make it.
Okay.
So we tried to go cheaper, but it wouldn't let us.
Well, actually, they said based on the quality of the show, $5 wasn't even
not
enough.
what they said.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. I shouldn't have gone to Marc for that one. But we do appreciate your support, and we like hearing from you. We always want your feedback, which you can also send us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail. And that's what Lindsay did. She says, ML's wife had some jaw-dropping reporting today, meaning Monday, on the Oxford shooting trials and a taxpayer-funded smear campaign and the prosecutor exploiting the trial to become famous. Now, this is Lindsay's characterization of the story, but Teresa did reveal in the Free Press, another great reason to subscribe to the Free Press, that the prosecutor spent $100,000 on PR firms, on communications consultants. Lindsay says, please discuss if you have a chance on the Soul of Detroit show. Even Alexis Wiley, the sleazy cover-up artist, makes a cameo. Well, Alexis Wiley, my former colleague at Fox 2, very good reporter, very good person, was chief of staff for Mayor Mike Duggan, has now gotten into corporate communications, crisis communications, consulting, all that other stuff. She's working with Duggan on his independent gubernatorial campaign, was an advisor to Karen McDonald when the Crumbly case was being brought. And I assume that's what Lindsay was referring to with some less than flattering adjectives. But Mark, you were talking about this story when we came in. What did you think about this?
Well, I think it's very odd that a county the size of Oakland doesn't have their own media reps to handle it, because in the story that Teresa wrote was, we needed, we had 40 interviews that we had to book, and we needed to get out ahead of this, which just doesn't feel right. I would think they have a whole media arm in Oakland County in the prosecutor's office, or at least two people that would handle and book that. So it seems really odd that they would use that much money or public dollars to hire two separate firms. Now this comes out because there's an appeal that Jennifer Crumbly's trying to get bond again. This is for like the 9th time as her appeal of her convictions going on. So that's why this came out. Like, look at all this bad or unethical conduct that the prosecution's office is doing, and then they also mentioned that, hey, there's a Hulu documentary crew was embedded with them. We didn't know about that. There was a Washington Post columnist embedded with them. We didn't know about that. To me, I don't think that's a big deal because everything's embargoed until after the case. I don't see how buying PR, paying for companies would help Jennifer Crumbly, but it certainly doesn't feel good that they're using that much public money.
Well, it is quite a bit of money, and certainly today, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office has somebody who deals with media queries. The Wayne County Prosecutor has somebody who deals with media queries, and so does the Macomb County Prosecutor. So it's not unusual to have somebody in-house that deals with the volume of calls that you get. Few cases will generate the sort of interest that the Ethan Crumbly Oxford High School, I'm going to say massacre because it really was, and it's terrible to think about, but pretending it wasn't horrible doesn't make it less horrible. So I understand the need to deal with the press interest, and I certainly appreciate public officials who are willing to let the media behind the scenes to help demystify what's going on. That's one of the purposes of this show, is that we can take you behind the scenes and tell you what's really going on. But that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'd be very interested in looking at those detailed billings to see how that was spent. Was that money spent trying to arrange interviews? Was it spent trying to craft a message? Was it spent trying to coordinate with those national media organizations that were there? Because there's a difference between using help to get the word out.
I was going to say that I kind of understand, because that's not really what a prosecutor is really cut out to do, is media relations. But they should have that office already.
Yeah, this is the sort of case that would tax the resources of any prosecutor's office, even a statewide office. But it is a very extraordinary thing, and it's something that I encourage you guys to take a look at and decide for yourself, because Lindsay definitely has a distinct take on it. But I think you'll find Teresa's story, like most of the reporting in the Free Press, lays out the facts for you to come to your own conclusion. And Lindsay's reached hers. Check it out and give us yours. We'll put a link to that story on our website, and we'd love to hear from you next week to see what you think about it. Dan writes in a lot. I haven't seen him as a member of our Soulmates, so you'd think he'd want to support the shows. We seem to be the only friends he has out there. He says, Mr. Elric, I guess we're not so friendly after all. You're a very proud Detroiter. Is your self-esteem in any way tied to the Renaissance Center? Or could you not care less if all 5 of its brutalist towers were demolished by GM? John Gallagher's column today in the Free Press, once again, read like a continuation of a PR push for Dan Gilbert's tax-subsidized partial demolition proposal. And in totally unrelated news, Jared Fleischer is the proud owner of 1,000 copies of Gallagher's memoir. Ha-ha! So, John Gallagher is our former architecture critic at the Detroit Free Press. He's a retired, great journalist, member of the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame. I think he appreciates the aesthetics of the Renaissance Center. Jared Fleischer works for Dan Gilbert and is one of his, liaisons between the rock companies and government. I don't know that he bought 1,000 copies of John's memoir in appreciation, but let me get to the part that involves me. I would not miss the Renaissance Center.
I wouldn't either.
To me, I think it opens up the waterfront. I don't wish it ill, but when you're going to put a gun to our head like that.
Yeah, for that amount of money, no thanks.
No. And my feeling about this, if I understand the deal, and maybe I don't, but I read J.C. Reindel's stuff also in the Free Press. And Dan Gilbert bought this. And now he's telling us, for me to make it work, I need some help.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't you have thought of that before you bought it? Shouldn't you have factored that into the purchase price and maybe the purchase decision? And if you went ahead.
Or try putting it up for sale before you ask for tax money.
Right.
To redo it.
Right. So I understand that government does need to subsidize ambitious projects sometimes, but this feels like a bridge too far. And while I do think that the Renaissance Center is a distinctive feature of our skyscape, our riverfront, boy, I love to see the Yamamoto Tower. I love to see the Guardian Building. I like to see the Penobscot Building. I like One Detroit Center. I think we have a lot of architecture that's beautiful and that will pop if we have this thing out from in front of us. And if you ever look at it, kind of looks like a big middle finger sticking up. So I'm actually more concerned about the loss of all those hotel rooms that are there at the main hotel there, which I think could seriously impact our convention business. If I were trying to sell this deal to taxpayers, that's what I'd say is we lose the tower, then we lose the beds, then we lose the conventions. But no, Dan, it wouldn't break my heart if that thing was not there. So, yeah, I think that's that. Shawn, big Renaissance Center fan?
No, it'll be nice to see it gone.
Hey, wow. I wasn't expecting that.
A geek of the weekend, a hot take. I like it.
Who are you?
This kid is so rare.
No. They can keep a couple of the smaller ones if they want to, but open it up. Bring the river in.
Yep.
And why not? Those corresponding towers, the smaller ones, as you called them, not particularly distinctive. In fact, I wonder if they were made to not stand out so as not to detract from the main event. But yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, John.
Or take the 4 down, the 4 smaller, or they're 5. They're 4, they're 5. No, there's 6, right?
Yeah, I think 2 are
because there are 4 around the central one where the hotel is, and then there are 2 off to the side on the east and northeast of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in Atlanta there's a similar building to the main tower, the Renaissance Center.
The Peachtree Tower or whatever.
And is that standalone?
God, I'm trying to remember. I've not seen that up close in a while.
But
it's not surrounded by its own complex in the same way this one is. There's also a building in downtown LA that's, I think it was used famously in the Line of Fire with John Malkovich and Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I see you standing over the body of another dead president.
But yeah,
that's what he said. Okay. Well, I hope that helps Dan. Another Daniel, a little more formal. ML, I find the contention that Freudian slip. ML, I find the contention that Mike Duggan is an undercover Republican a bit tough to swallow. That was a contention made by a couple of gentlemen who joined us last week on the Donkey Show, in which we had 2 guys who want to run the Democratic Party in Michigan sounding off on various issues. He said, I remember that he was Ed McNamara's right-hand man when Ed ran for county executive in 1987. I also recall Mike coming to my home in 1992 when he was stumping for 11th District Democratic County Commission candidate Brian Amon in 1992. If he is a Republican, his sleeper cell operatives are all dead by now. Okay. Well, I do think that there's a lot of vitriol being spewed at Duggan because he's running as an independent, and that will probably take votes away from the Democratic nominee for governor. But Mike Duggan, for all of his political career, has been a Democrat, has been a very important Democrat, maybe Joe Biden's favorite mayor in America. Maybe not now, but who cares what Joe thinks now, right? But I will say that Mike Duggan is the only Democrat in his family, and his father was appointed to the federal bench by Ronald Reagan. So for those who think that Mike Duggan has Republican roots, I think you're onto something there. Have those roots died off long ago when he started working for Ed McNamara? I guess we'll have to see. But certainly he's not so wedded to the Democratic Party that he won't walk away from it if he thinks it's in his best interests, or I guess he would say in Michigan's best interests. You, the voter, will have to decide that for yourself in 2026. But great points, Daniel, and I do think it's tough to dismiss Mike Duggan as some sort of a Republican in donkey's hide. I don't know. It's tortured metaphor anyway. Shawn?
Save it.
No, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
There he is. And he's back just like that. The Shawn we know.
Yes, we're all feeling better, I see.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, I like that we had a lot of interest with a Bond rerun from a few years ago, and then we go right back to, this. That's great.
Well, we were going to have Shawn's deepest, darkest fantasies last week, but you weren't available, so we're going to save that for Valentine's Day. That's a mind sticker.
Laugh, that's all.
How's that for a mind sticker?
Yeah, exactly.
Never cared for Tab. More of a Fresca guy myself.
You were more of a Fresca guy?
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. They call me the Fresk kid. But he's
That's
all right.
because you're a Ted Knight guy.
I like Ted Knight, although I didn't like him in Too Close for Comfort. Ted Baxter, though, was great. And Judge Smales? Who doesn't like Judge Smales? Speaking of which, Shawn, you get a bowl of soup with that hat?
Yeah, no, this hat is doesn't. You don't need to get anything with this hat. You take the hat and you wear it, and you don't worry about anything else.
I understand it comes with dandruff.
Oh,
that's if I had hair.
Actually, dandruff comes from the scalp, but we don't need to get into that. That's I can tell we stayed too long already. Shawn, great to see you again. Hope to see you in person soon. Marc, it's great to be back. Soon we will be rejoined by Erica Erickson. I know we're teasing that, but that's what people in TV do. We tease you. So keep coming back. Keep writing to us. Please join the Soulmates. And if you go to see Luke, as I did recently, I think you'll be happy. If you go to the Caju Cafe, I know you'll leave happy. But let them know that we sent you. And until next week, we let our friend Cyrus take us on. I hope to see you at Clark Park at 9:30 a.m. Damn it, Lions. Are you done? Damn Lions. Sorry. 9:30 a.m. Women's game is still at 6 p.m.
Are you done?
Go Lions.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
He's a hotshot attorney who's never lost.
Yes!
Forced to coach a hockey team that's never won.
Keep swinging. Maybe he'll give him a cold.
He'll try to teach them how to win.
You think losing is funny? Well, not at first, but once you get the hang of it.
And they'll teach him.
Get off the roof, you little monkey!
That winning isn't everything.
Let's have fun out there.
The Soul of Detroit.
Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.